strongest, most lethal fighting force in the world.
What the Yo.
And I will fulfill our sacred obligation to care for our troops and their families, and I will always honor and never despair.
This is my comfortable space. This is my pocket. This is when I'm in the pocket. This is when I'm like the most locked in. Okay. Like I care about covering the DNC. I don't have to be inside of the DNC to cover it, which is true.
Kamala Gopalan Harris. But we called her Mommy. Mommy was so many things to so many people. A civil rights activist, a scientist, a devoted mother to her two little girls. But most of all, Mommy was a trailblazer who defied the odds and defined herself. And when it came to Kamala and me, Mommy had great expectations for us, but she had even greater expectations of us. She raised us to believe that we could be and do anything. And we believed her. You see, Mommy understood the power and the possibility that come with knowing and showing who you truly are. She knew we could be the authors of our own stories, just as she'd been the author of her own. Mommy's journey and the opportunity that she wanted for Kamala and me, that's a
I feel like it's a bit weird
American story.
Right? Am I crazy or is this a bit weird?
We all have different histories, different struggles, or different perspectives. But what binds us together is the fervent desire to be free, to fulfill our God-given potential. Kamala's entire life has been about fighting for each of us to have that freedom. And like so many Americans, Kamala knows what it's like to be underestimated and be counted out. She knows what it's like to be the underdog and yet still beat the odds. And now, she has created so much electricity, so much optimism, so much joy throughout the nation, and it is why we need her leadership in this historic moment.
Bro, Trump looks like...
We are living in a time when some are trying to divide us.
Oh, God.
To separate us in ways that make it difficult for us to come together. Well, look, my sister rejects that view. Where others push darkness, Kamala sees promise. Where others feel detachment, Kamala fosters connection. Where others want to drag us back to the past, my sister said...
It's pretty crazy that people are like how are they like faking the enthusiasm for this stuff? I don't know. I just like, is it good?
Because Kamala
Maybe it's just not for me. I'm not the target audience.
We have so much more in common than what separates us. She knows the measure of our success isn't just winning an election. It's about who we bring along and lift up in the process. And so as I look out at
Are we not
all of
lived
you
up
today,
anymore? I mean, dude,
moment,
I'm not kidding.
I so wish
Regardless of the
that Mommy could be
accommodations,
here tonight.
it's not even a joke. Regardless of the accommodations, like going to the DNC actually kind of like opened my eyes to a lot of things. Okay. For one, the fact that they like, after all of this pressure, they were like, nah, we're not going to let any Palestinians speak. Get the f out of here. They were like, no, sorry. We have a cop who literally was doing DIY, like sex trafficking operations and investigations with a right-wing nut job. Okay. That guy has to speak. We have a former Trump Republican that is like an MSNBC fan favorite. That guy has to speak. You, if you're like a lifelong Democrat that happens to be Palestinian, you know what I mean? Sorry. Sucks to suck. You ain't got it's so gross. It's so disgusting. I'm sorry. It is what it is. That's just straight white supremacist ass, okay? You can dress it up any way you want. That's American chauvinism right there. That's Western chauvinism. That is, okay? That's gross as it doesn't matter if the candidate is black. It's still white supremacy through and through, okay? The Democratic Party said tonight and the day prior, we got billionaires. We're going to bring them on to the center stage. We got former Trump Republicans. We're going to bring them onto the center stage. Okay. We got psycho cops. We're going to bring them on. What? HasanAbi unironically said this. What? Anyway, it's ridiculous, dude. You got Pizzagate cops and out there who are, you got Border Patrol guys being like, yeah, we're going to fuck the migrants and we're putting them on the center stage. But you don't got a moment for Palestinian Americans. You don't got a moment for Palestinian Americans, dude? That's crazy. That's unacceptable. That's white supremacy, okay? Here.
If money is evil, then that building is hell. This is the most obnoxious group of money-hungry, low IQ, high energy, jackrabbit, wannabe, big time, small time, talking, bothersome, irritating bunch of I've ever had to endure for more than 5 minutes.
White supremacy, come on, dude. When they say, we don't give a if you're Palestinian, you shut the up, okay? If you're a goddamn Palestinian, here are all the other people that are more important for us than you, okay? Literally every single person in the Democratic Party's infrastructure, and then people outside of that infrastructure, cops, Border Patrol agents, billionaires that are not even in the Democratic Party. You're a lifelong Democrat. You spent your whole time, you spent your whole goddamn life fighting for the Democratic Party. You're a state, you're a part of the state apparatus in your own goddamn state, okay? And they say, you're Palestinian. We don't want to hear from you, okay? Suck my, there is no way to look at this in any other lens, okay?
About a secure retirement for themselves. Well, Kamala will fight for you. For any one of our allies, anywhere in the world, wondering if America still has your back, remember this. Kamala will fight for you. And when she fights, we win. Kamala's
it's
ready.
white supremacy.
Kamala's ready. The question is, are we? Are we going to stand up and fight for Kamala like she'll stand up and fight for us? All right. If you're ready, my home state of North Carolina, stand up. Stand up, Pennsylvania. Stand up, Michigan.
I'm about to be in a much better mood after eating this shit, let me tell you.
Stand up, Georgia. Stand up, Nevada. Stand up, Arizona. Stand up, America. Are we going to stand up? Are we going to fight? Are we going to vote? Are we going to win? You bet we are. Let's go get them.
Governor Roy Cooper with a rallying cry for this convention hall that is about as fired up as it can get, and yet we are now entering a portion of the programming that gets us ready for the speech from Kamala Harris, a biographical video. Let's watch.
Your first grade teacher would show up at your law school graduation. It's where Kamala Harris learned what it means to be in the middle class, making every paycheck count. She was raised by a working mom who taught her about standing up for what's right and protecting the people you love.
Kamala carries the lessons of our mother, the fighting spirit of our mother, the compassion.
She was all of 5 feet tall. If you met her, you would have thought she was 7 feet tall. And our mother, if I'd ever come home complaining about anything, she wouldn't have it. The first thing she'd say is, well, just stop the complaining. Just tell me what you're going to do about it.
And since she was a young girl, Kamala Harris has been fighting for families like the ones she grew up with.
That is Kamala. She can't help herself from standing up for people and standing up for what she thinks is right. She has been that way our whole lives, being a protector.
I don't know what the f is wrong with Chicago dogs, but it's more pepper than is. is more pepper and more pickle than dog.
She went after predators who targeted women and children, and fraudsters who ripped off working families. And she put dangerous gang members and human traffickers behind bars.
It makes no dang sense.
DOJ or FBI or DEA or any of those law enforcement
I
agencies.
prefer a New York dog.
We all work collaboratively. She was the person who built the foundation in how we do justice in America.
What am I eating a salad? What the f is
She
this?
held the big Wall Street banks accountable for fraud, winning $20 billion for California families. She took on one of the largest for-profit colleges that was scamming students. And in the Senate, she fought for her constituents with the determination of a prosecutor, standing up for reproductive freedom.
Can you think of any laws that give the government the power to make decisions about the male body?
I'm not thinking of any right now, Senator.
She fought to keep our children safe from the terror of gun violence.
How many of you guys had to have a drill where you learned about how you need to hide in a closet or crouch in a corner in the event that there is a mass shooter? Look at that. Look at that.
On the Intelligence Committee, she defended our nation against foreign adversaries. And in 2020, she made history as the first woman to be elected Vice President of the United States. She cast the tie-breaking vote to deliver urgent relief to the American people during the pandemic. She beat Big Pharma to lower prescription drug costs and cap the cost of insulin. And led the fight to restore reproductive rights
I'm
after
worried.
Roe v. Wade was overturned.
We have worked too hard and fought too long to see our daughters grow up in a world with fewer rights than our mothers.
Because she's never been afraid to stand up to powerful interests.
Sometimes people will open the door for you and leave it open. Sometimes they won't.
You're always
And
worried?
you need to kick that door down.
Nah. It's different.
Excuse my language.
Now, she's running for president, still fighting for families like the one
There's
she
so
grew up
much
with.
that needs to change.
Campaign is about saying we trust the people. We're saying we just want fairness. We want dignity for all people. And we are a work in progress. We haven't yet quite reached all of those ideals, but we will die.
Palestinians won't win us the election? I'm not even talking about that,
We
you
believe
idiot.
in our country. We're not falling for these folks who are trying to divide us, trying to pull us apart. We know what we stand for.
I hope what happens to the Palestinian families never happens to your ass family, okay? That's not even what I'm talking about. But his ass immediately went, the Palestinians won't win us. That's not what I'm talking about.
Which she'll fight for every day.
Weirdo. Yeah, of course I'm gonna permaban him. Loser.
I'ma keep running cause the winner don't quit on themselves.
I mean, Democrats are so lucky that they're running against a party that has like forgotten how to run for office, okay? That's it. They've literally
Please
forgotten how to
welcome
run.
the Democratic nominee for
That's it.
president, Vice President of the United States.
That's the only thing that's carrying the Democratic Party, okay?
Harris.
We'll see if she talks about Palestine. I doubt it, though. I mean, she might.
These delegates who have waited for this moment to think that a month ago, no one knew what it would look like at the Democratic convention. But this is the unity and, yes, the joy that they have pieced together in short order as they are about to hear.
This beef is much better than the beef I had. It came dipped, by the way. It came dipped. I'm gonna dip it anyway.
But do something about it. Do something.
Imagine if somebody's up there and you share 100% of your opinions with it. I mean, there are people who
lost the last election. Donald Trump tried to throw away your votes. When he failed, he sent an armed mob to the United States Capitol where they assaulted law enforcement officers.
Oh, they're yelling, I think.
When politicians in his own party begged him to call off the mob and send help, he did the opposite. He fanned the flames. And now, for an entirely different set of crimes, he was found guilty of fraud by a jury of everyday Americans and separately found liable for committing sexual abuse. And consider what he intends to do if we give him power again. Consider his explicit intent to set free violent extremists who assaulted those law enforcement officers at the Capitol. His explicit intent to jail journalists, political opponents, and anyone he sees as his explicit intent to deploy our active duty military against our own citizens. Consider the power he will have, especially after the United States Supreme Court just ruled that he would be immune from criminal prosecution. Just imagine Donald Trump with no guardrails, and how he would use the immense powers of the presidency of the United States, not to improve your life, not to strengthen our national security, but to serve the only client he has ever had, himself. And we know what a second Trump term would look like. It's all laid out in Project 2025, written by his closest advisors, and its sum total is to pull our country back to the past. But America, we are not going back. We are not going back. We are not going back. We are not going back to when Donald Trump tried to cut Social Security and Medicare. We are not going back to when he tried to get rid of the Affordable Care Act, when insurance companies could deny people with pre-existing conditions. We are not going to let him eliminate the Department of Education that funds our public schools. We are not going to let him end programs like Head Start that provide preschool and childcare for our children. America, we are not going back. Forward to a future with a strong and growing middle class, because we know a strong middle class has always been critical to America's success, and building that middle class will be a defining goal of my presidency. And I'll tell you, this is personal for me. The middle class is where I come from. My mother kept a strict budget. We lived within our means, yet we wanted for little. And she expected us to make the most of the opportunities that were available to us and to be grateful for them. Because, as she taught us, Opportunity is not available to everyone. That's why we will create what I call an opportunity economy where everyone has the chance to compete and a chance to succeed. Whether you live in a rural area, small town, or big city. And as president, I will bring together labor and workers and small business owners and entrepreneurs and American companies to create jobs, to grow our economy, and to lower the cost of everyday needs like health care and housing and groceries. We will provide access to capital for small business owners and entrepreneurs and founders.
Oh,
and
thank God.
We will end America's housing shortage and protect
Thank God.
Social Security.
We're going to help entrepreneurs. We're going to deregulate housing.
Compare that to Donald Trump, because I think everyone here knows he doesn't actually fight for the middle class. He doesn't actually fight for the middle class. Instead, he fights for himself and his billionaire friends. And he will give them another round of tax breaks that will add up to $5 trillion to the national debt. And all the while, he intends to enact what in effect is a national sales tax, call it a Trump tax, that would raise prices on
This campaign's off the rails, brother. I don't know who the writer of these speeches. The deficit, bro, the budget.
Well, instead of a Trump tax hike,
are these guys on crack? What's next, bro?
Tax cut.
Is Kamala Harris going to do a NATO speech? What's happening?
Americans. Friends, I believe America.
The speech is all right. Energy's all right.
Truly be prosperous.
Her background, like her build up, her own personal biography was good.
Able to make their own decisions about their own lives, especially on matters of heart and home.
I'm a Democrat who appreciates the speech. Also, I'm a Republican.
In America, too many women are not able to make those decisions. And let's be clear about how we got here. Donald Trump handpicked members of the United States Supreme Court to take away reproductive freedom. And now he brags about it. In his words, quote, "I did it and I'm proud to have done it," end quote. Well, I'll tell you, over the past 2 years, I've traveled across our country, and women have told me their stories. Husbands and fathers have shared theirs. Stories of women miscarrying in a parking lot, developing sepsis, losing the ability to ever again have children.
She's pushing to the middle, and I don't care if it's the winning strategy. It's not. It never is.
For their patients.
You're literally like swapping out Biden with Kamala was not pushing to the middle. Picking Tim Walz was not pushing to the middle. Everything she's done so far that created this momentum was not pushing to the middle. It was pushing left. So why the fuck would it ever be like good time to push middle? Like that's not a thing.
This is what's happening in our country because of Donald Trump. And understand, he is not done. As a part of his agenda, he and his allies would limit access to birth control.
I think this speech is way too Trump-focused.
Medication abortion, and enact
this is 2016. Oh my God. Oh my God. This is Hillary Clinton. What is happening?
Congress. And get this. Get this. He plans to create a national anti-abortion coordinator and force states to report on women's miscarriages and abortions. Simply put, their minds. And one must ask, why exactly is it that they don't trust women? Well, we trust women. And when Congress passes a bill to restore reproductive freedom, as President of the United States, I will proudly sign it into law. In this election,
I'm being a little bit too loud.
many other fundamental freedoms are at stake. The freedom to live safe from gun violence in our schools, communities, and places of worship.
Fuck.
The freedom to love who you love openly and with pride. The freedom to breathe clean air and drink clean water and live free from the pollution that fuels the climate crisis. And the freedom that unlocks all the others, the freedom to vote.
He said he agrees with my politics, though.
With this election, we finally have the opportunity
He said he loves my
to
passion.
pass the John Lewis Voting Rights Act and the freedom.
And agrees with my politics. But he thinks like this is like a double room.
And let me be clear.
And my
And
voice
let me be
is just
clear. After decades in law enforcement, I know the importance of safety and security, especially at our border. Last year, Joe and I brought together Democrats and conservative Republicans to write the strongest border bill in decades. The Border Patrol endorsed it.
Oh.
But Donald Trump believes a border deal would hurt his campaign. So he ordered his allies in Congress to deal. I refuse to play politics with our security, and here is my pledge to you. As president, I will bring back the bipartisan border security bill that he killed, and I will sign it into law. I know we can live up to our proud heritage as a nation of immigrants and reform our broken immigration system. We can create an earned pathway to citizenship and secure our border. And America, we must also be steadfast in advancing our security and values abroad. As Vice President, I have confronted threats to our security, negotiated with foreign leaders, strengthened our alliances, and engaged with our brave troops overseas. As Commander-in-Chief, I will ensure America always has the strongest, most lethal fighting force in the world.
What? Yo.
And I will fulfill our sacred obligation to care for our troops and their families, and I will always honor and never disparage their service and their sacrifice.
Bro,
I will make sure
what is happening?
that we lead the world into the future on space and artificial intelligence, that America, not China, wins the competition for the...
Bro, she said we're going back to Iraq. She was like, I'm gonna make sure
leadership.
I'm gonna be real fucking crazy about the military.
Threatened to abandon NATO. He encouraged Putin to invade our allies.
Oh my God. Oh my God. She's doing the NATO speech. Oh my God. She's doing the NATO speech. Oh my God. Oh my God.
5 days before Russia attacked Ukraine, I met with President Zelensky to warn him about Russia's plan to invade. I helped mobilize a global response, over 50 countries, to defend against Putin's aggression. And as president, I will stand strong with Ukraine and our NATO allies. With respect to the war in Gaza, President Biden and I are working around the clock, because now is the time to get a hostage deal and a ceasefire deal done.
I'm out. I'm tapped.
And let me be clear. And let me be clear. I will always stand up for Israel's right to defend itself.
Oh, I'm super out. I'm super out.
Always ensure Israel has the ability to defend itself, because the people of Israel must never again face the horror that a terrorist organization called Hamas caused on October 7, including unspeakable sexual violence and the massacre of young people at a music festival. At the same time, what has happened in Gaza over the past 10 months is devastating. So many innocent lives lost. Desperate, hungry people fleeing for safety over and over again. The scale of suffering is heartbreaking. President Biden and I are working to end this war such that
horrific, disgusting rape that Hamas did.
The suffering in Gaza ends,
but also, it's just it's really sad what's happening in Gaza.
Their right to dignity, security, freedom, and self-determination.
Nah. I mean, obviously she brought up ceasefire in Gaza, so I was right, but no way she would have avoided it.
I will never hesitate to take whatever action is necessary to defend our forces and our interests against Iran and Iran-backed terrorists. I will not cozy up to tyrants and dictators like Kim Jong-un, who are rooting for Trump. Because, you know, they know he is easy to manipulate with flattery and favors. They know Trump won't hold autocrats accountable because he wants to be an autocrat himself. And as president, I will never waver in defense of America's security and ideals, because in the enduring struggle between democracy and tyranny, I know where I stand and I know where the United States belongs. The world, that here in this country anything is possible, that nothing is out of reach.
I don't think protesting is going to fix
Where
this.
we care for one another.
This is
Look
like
out
kind of
for
crazy.
one another and
This is just straight up like blanket Joe Biden.
more in common than what separates
Like, it's weird.
us.
It literally, like, this is Joe Biden. This is Joe Biden's speech being delivered by a black woman. That's it. Like, that's the only difference.
All of us to succeed. And that in unity there is strength. You know, our opponents in this race are out there every day denigrating America, talking about how terrible everything is. Well, my mother had another lesson she used to teach. Never let anyone tell you who you are. You show them who you are. America, let us show each other and the world who we are and what we stand for. Freedom, opportunity, compassion, dignity, fairness, and endless possibilities. We are the heirs
I don't know what's going on.
to the greatest democracy.
I think it's over.
In the
Like, the
history
momentum
of
is
the
gone,
world.
I think.
And on behalf of our children and our grandchildren,
I think the momentum is gone. The media will still push it as though it's beautiful, but like it'll be like a reaction to Doug Emhoff.
we
Okay.
must worthy of this moment. It is now our turn to do what generations before us
I'm seeing
have done.
signals. I'll tell you exactly what I mean in a second.
Optimism
After the speech is
and
over.
faith to fight for this country we love, to fight for the ideals we cherish, and to uphold the awesome responsibility that comes with the greatest privilege on earth, the privilege and pride of being an American.
Dude, I hate this. This like false, this fake patriotism, I hate it. It's like, I don't know why the Democratic Party is like trying to do fake patriotism and also being like the war party.
Let's get out there, let's vote for it, and together, let us write the next great chapter in the most extraordinary story ever told. Thank you. God bless you, and may God bless the United States of America. Thank you all.
No, everybody needs to calm down. This has nothing to do with like them kicking me out or anything. Okay, they didn't. And you guys need to shut the fuck up. It doesn't matter in the grand scheme of things. Okay, who the fuck am I? I'm just some random dumbass. Okay, calm down. And I'm not being humble when I say that. I'm nothing in the grand scheme of things. And you shouldn't ever operate on that front anyway. You should be thinking about what she's saying. Okay, and it's really important. I feel like Chad and you are overreacting. She's obviously playing the donors being anti-war. While good isn't profitable? No, dude, you're delusional. Are you fucking crazy? You think she's like a secret peaceful dove? What? When has she ever? Kamala Harris has been in politics for, I wouldn't say that long, okay? She was vice president for 4 years. Before that, she was a senator for a couple of years under the Trump administration in the state of California. But beyond that, she's been a fucking cop her whole life, okay? She has very little policy. She has very little policy backing. That's why I've been saying, I'm in a holding pattern. I'm in a holding pattern. I'm in a holding pattern. I'm going to wait and see. I'm going to wait and see what she does. I'm going to wait and see what she does. Okay? This speech is supposed to be the moment that she shows you what she is and who she is and what she's going to do. Okay? That speech was literally a nothing will fundamentally change speech. Where the fuck is the joy? Where the fuck is the hope? Where the fuck is the goddamn momentum? She says she's going to have the most lethal army of all time. Are you out of your fucking mind?